let's try and solve this trig equation. First thing that we notice is that it does have a squared term in it, so this is going to be solved as a quadratic. Second thing that we notice is that we have sine and coses in the same problem. In the previous video, we divided through by cos x to leave ourselves with just tan. This won't work now, however, because if we divide by cos x, we'll have sine squared x over cos x, which if we write that out, that would mean that we could write it as sine x times sine x over cos x. They would simplify down to a tan, but we can do no more. We can't solve something that looks like that yet. So we need an alternative approach. The other identity that we can use is 1 is equivalent to sine squared x plus cos squared x. Making sine squared the subject of this, this tells us that we can replace our sine squared x with 1 minus cos squared x. Then everything in this equation will be written in terms of cos x. We can solve it as a quadratic. So let's do that. 2 and minus 2 cos squared x plus cos x is equal to 1. Now, as we know this is a quadratic, we're going to solve it like we would any quadratic, bring everything onto one side and set it equal to 0. So I'm going to bring everything onto this side because I want a positive quadratic term. We always want a positive quadratic term because it just makes it a bit easier to solve. Okay, now that we've got this, we need to try and factorise it. So we know we're going to have a 2 cos x and then a cos x term. Must have a product which gives us 1, so we know that that's going to be a 1 and a 1. One of these must be positive and one must be negative, and we need a greater number of negative cos x's. So I need my negative there, my positive there. A quick check, that's going to give me minus 2 cos x plus cos x does leave me with minus 1 cos x. So that tells me that cos x is equal to minus a half, or cos x equals 1. We would always be told what set of values of x to solve this for. Let's go for this set of values here, in fact, that set there. So cos x equals minus a half. Let's solve that one first. The first value, your calculator will tell you. So if we do inverse cos of minus a half, that gives us 120 degrees. If you can't remember how to solve for cos, quick sketch of the cos graph tells us that if we've got one solution at, minus a half, if we've got one solution at minus 120, the other solution will be at 360 minus 120. So that will be 240. If you want to check that, you can always just do cos of 240, and you will get minus a half. So that's a good way to just check you've done the rule correctly. And then cos of x equals 1. Well, we can see that one solution to that is there at x equals 0, and then it doesn't equal 1 again until we reach 360 degrees. But looking carefully at the set of values of x for which we're solving this, x can be 0, but it cannot be 360. So in this case, we have 3 solutions. If we did allow 360, we would also list 360 as an additional solution. Okay, so we use the identity to write everything in terms of just one trigonometric ratio, or trigonometric function as we could now think of it. Then we solve it as a quadratic. Set it equal to 0, try and get your quadratic term positive. If it will factorise it, and then list your multiple solutions. And we're done.